Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see anything, but from memory, Emma's gonna be doing Pictionary and Max is gonna be doing the sky this month. I think we're gonna start with Max. And Minato has turned on screen sharing. So take it away, Max.
Awesome. Yeah, let me just share this really quick. Are you guys seeing everything?
Looks good, Max.
Awesome. Well, in case you guys don't know me already, my name is Max. I'm VP of Astroimaging, and I'm also going to be taking over the sky this month from now on. So every month you're going to be seeing me do one of these presentations as a project for Earth and Space Science. So without further ado, let's get into this one for February 2021. So starting off with the moon, this month's moon is called the full snow moon. It's got its name from the snow that typically happens this month, not necessarily in Portland, but in other areas. And so here we have some important dates and times. The last quarter already happened. It was on the 4th. The new moon is coming up on Thursday, I believe. It is the 11th. And then the first quarter will be February 19th. And the full moon, the full snow moon, will be on February 27th. So here we have the full extended calendar. This time I called it the Eagle Moon. All of the different moons have a bunch of different names, which I thought was pretty cool. So I saw for February, there was the snow moon, the eagle moon, the bald eagle moon, and the black bear moon. And they're all based on different cultures. Every culture had a different name. So I'll try and throw a couple of different one of those in each time. But yeah. And then moving on to the sun, this is a picture of the sun from Saturday. And in doing some research for this presentation, I couldn't find anything interesting going on this February, but I found something cool from last February, and that is the Solar Orbiter. It is a joint project between NASA and the European Space Agency, ESA. It's a remote spacecraft. It was launched last February, and it is orbiting the sun and taking the closest pictures of the sun to date. And it is also studying the coronal region, I believe it's called, just the area surrounding the sun. And so I checked up on it. I looked for some updates. It's still up there. It's doing great. As of now, in July 2020, it released some of its first pictures. And in November, it began some routine science operations. So scientists are hoping to get some data from it pretty soon. So here are some of the pictures that it released. This is just a couple of different stills. And this is just a still of the zoomed out one. So these were taken with the extreme ultraviolet imager, as it says down here. Pretty cool stuff. And these are all the same pictures, just stills. And these arrows are pointing out these little bright spots that are called wildfires. And scientists don't actually know what they are. They just kind of notice them in all of the pictures. They think they might be these things called nanoflares, but they're waiting on some more data from Solar Orbiter before they can really figure out what they are. So moving on to the planets, this month we have 5 different planets visible. We have Mercury and Saturn visible at dawn. We have Mars and Uranus visible in the evening, and we have Neptune visible at dusk. So again, this already happened on the 6th, but Saturn and Venus were pretty close together, 20 minutes before sunrise. And then you can see this is coming up. Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn all should be visible 20 minutes before sunrise along the eastern horizon. And this is on the 11th. This is the conjunction of Jupiter and Venus 20 minutes before sunrise. This should all be visible to the naked eye. So if you guys feel motivated enough to wake up early enough, you should be able to see this stuff, which would be pretty cool. And then some more evening stuff. Mars should be visible along the path of the moon, which should make it pretty recognizable. And we have the Pleiades too, which is an open cluster of stars. They're really pretty. They're pretty easy to spot with both in the naked eye and just any pair of binoculars. You should be able to find those pretty close to the moon on the 19th and around that area on the 18th. And so the constellation of this month that I chose is called Auriga. It is visible this month. It is pretty close to the zenith, and here's some pictures of it. Here's a little bit of a clearer picture of it. So the mythology, I found a couple of different stories behind Auriga, most of them based in Greek mythology. In one of them, Auriga was the charioteer, the son of Hephaestus, who was raised by Athena, the goddess of wisdom. And he was the first person to create a chariot based on the sun god's chariot. And then in another myth, Auriga was Hephaestus himself, who created a chariot because he has bad legs and doesn't want to have to walk around on them all the time. You might have noticed that neither of those stories included a goat, and yet for some reason we have a goat over here on the shoulder. It's a mother goat along with her kids down here. And the reason we think that is because of this star right here. It's called Capella. That's actually the star this month. I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but Capella in Latin translates to mother goat. So we think that's why that's hanging out there. So Auriga belongs to the Perseus family of constellations, along with Andromeda, Cassiopeia, Cepheus, Cetus, Lacerta, Pegasus, Perseus, and Triangulum. It contains 3 Messier objects 36, 37, and 38. They're all open star clusters with magnitudes of 6.3, 5.6, and 7.4 respectively. And Auriga also contains pictures of the Flaming Star Nebula, which is an emission reflection nebula located near M38. And Auriga has 8 stars with known planets. Auriga is best known to contain the star Capella, one of the 3 brightest stars in the northern hemisphere. So here's a little bit of a guide to how to find Auriga. That's kind of what it looks like in the sky. And so if you're able to find the Big Dipper in the sky, you can kind of see how these top 2 stars and like the top of the spoon, if you follow that line, that leads you to Capella. And if you just remember, Capella is kind of this top corner in the kind of pentagonal shape that Auriga makes, then you can kind of start to see it here. I used this handy dandy planisphere that we made in Earth and Space Science, and it should be around 8 p.m. It should be pretty close to the zenith. So if you look kind of just straight up and you look for Capella, which is a pretty bright star, you should be able to identify it. So yeah, the star this month is Capella, the brightest star in Auriga, 3rd brightest star in the hemisphere, northern hemisphere, and 6th brightest star in the sky as a whole. So Capella, also known as Alpha Aurigae, is a quadruple star system located in Auriga with a combined apparent magnitude of 0.08. It is the 6th brightest star in the sky and 3rd brightest in the northern hemisphere, only falling behind Vega and Arcturus. It is approximately 42.9 light years from Earth. So while seemingly a lone star to the naked eye, Capella is actually a quadruple star system. It's comprised of 2 binary pairs, one made up of Capella AA and AB, and the other made up of Capella H and Capella L. Capella AA and Capella AB are both first magnitude stars, with apparent magnitudes of 0.76 and 0.91 respectively. They are among the 15 brightest stars in the sky. So just by themselves, they're pretty bright, and then combined, they make a really bright one. Capella AA is a spectral type KO3, a yellow-orange giant. It has a mass 2.5687 times larger than the sun and a radius 11.98 times solar. The effective temperature of Capella AA is about 4,970 Kelvin and is about 78.7 times more luminous than the sun. Its projected rotational velocity is 4.1 kilometers per second. So Capella A is pretty bright, and it's also a lot larger than the sun. As you see, it's a little more than twice its mass and 12 times around radius. And Capella AB is also a lot larger than the sun, but it's a little bit smaller than AA. It's a spectral type G33. It is currently a subgiant, but is in the process of evolving into a red giant. Both of them are, just AB is a little bit farther behind. It has a mass 2.482 times larger than the sun and a radius 8.83 solar. So again, pretty definitely a lot larger than our sun, but a little bit smaller than AB. It has a surface temperature of 5,000. Oops, didn't mean to go back. It has a surface temperature of 5,730 Kelvin and is 72.7 times more luminous than the sun. And Capella AB's rotational velocity is approximately 35 kilometers per second. So it rotates a lot faster than Capella AA. And Minato and I were talking about that yesterday, and we don't really know why, but it's kind of interesting. And then Capella HL is the second binary pair. It has Capella H and Capella L. Both of them are red dwarfs with stellar classifications of M2.55 and M4 respectively. And so star sizes, they come in dwarfs, subgiants, and giants. So dwarfs, it's a little confusing because you might think dwarfs are pretty small, but really it's a pretty big range. And so Capella H and Capella L are about average in terms of star size. They're a little bit smaller than our sun, but our sun and both of them are still about average size for stars. So Capella has a mass 0.57 that of the sun, and Capella L has a mass 0.53 that of the sun. And Capella H has a radius 0.54 solar, and with a surface temperature of 3,700 Kelvin, it shines 0.05 times as luminous as the sun. Capella H and Capella L are also, they're sometimes referred to as Capella C and D due to a couple of other classification systems, but most of the time they're referred to as H and L. So just a few more Capella facts. Capella is part of the winter hexagon. It's a pretty prominent asterism. If you can find it in the sky, all of these stars are decently bright, so you can kind of see that. And also just a cool fact that I found in my research, 210,000 years ago to 160,000 years ago, Capella was the brightest star in the sky. It was, at that time, it was at its closest to Earth at 27.9 light years. So pretty close in terms of stars, and it was very bright. And so here we have the top events of astrophotography. Not a ton going on. On the 10th, we have the conjunction of Moon and Saturn. And then on the 11th, we have the new moon and the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, I believe. And also new moons are a great time for any kind of astrophotography, taking pictures of stars, or just any kind of astronomical observations at all, because without the moon there, you have a lot less light pollution. So if by some crazy luck, it's actually clear that night, that would be a great night to go and look at the night sky. And then on the 18th, we have the conjunction of the moon and Mars. And then on the 27th, we have the full moon. So while that night might not be great for research or kinds of things, taking pictures of the moon is still pretty fun. And when it's a full moon, you'll have plenty of light and it'll be pretty easy to find. So yeah, that's the sky this month.
Yeah, can we do a little unmuted round of applause? Really quick. Everybody unmute them a little bit. Thank you, Max. That was very nice. And now Emma is going to lead us in astronomy Pictionary and also maybe explain exactly what that means first. Okay, Emma needs a second. Are you good now? Or we can just talk about our days. Mine was good.
I figured it out now. There's no more ad. Okay, everybody. So we are going to be playing some Astronomy Pictionary online, which is very fun. And so if you will go to this link that I just put in the chat, it will enter you into a little online Pictionary room. So basically how you play, and there might be an ad, I am warning you now. Hopefully there's not, but there might be one. So how you're going to play is we're going to be taking turns, everyone who's going to play, and you don't have to if you don't want to. But you're going to be picking one of 3 astronomy related words, and then you're going to be drawing them. And so everyone who is also playing the game, you're going to be typing it in your computer and trying to guess what it is. So for example, if the word was moon and someone is drawing a picture of the moon, you'd say, I wonder what it is. And then in your chat, which you'll see when you enter a room, you're going to say moon. And if you're right, you get points. And so it's like a fun way to learn some new astronomy terms you might not know about. And then also see everyone's amazing online drawing skills, because I bet there are going to be some very lovely pictures today. Let's just give everyone a little bit to enter the room. Wow, we have Katy Perry in here. That is crazy.